Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys being here. The fight's a go November 2nd in Madison Square Garden. And we have the respected trainers of both guys for the big middleweight title fight between Triple G and Curtis Stevens. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, Abel Sanchez, trainer of Gennady Golovkin, and Andre Rozier, trainer and uncle, I might add, of Curtis Stevens. Thank you, guys. And it's a fight that guarantees fireworks for as long as it goes. The reason why I love this fight is because if the fight goes a full round or two, there's a good chance that both guys are going to get hit harder than they ever got hit in their life. That's what makes this fight so exciting. What do you think of the fight, Abel? You went on record a few weeks ago saying that you think Curtis was too green for Triple G at this point. What do you see in Curtis as a fighter and a possible threat to Triple G, if anything?
I see him as becoming a decent fighter. I think that he has a ways to go. Of course, we all have our opinions, and the 2nd of November, we're going to find out that what I've been saying is true. I think that Curtis is starting to develop into that good fighter, but he has a ways to go to get to this level.
Is there anything that worries you about this fight, Abel?
That he gets hurt before we get there.
Andre, you know Curtis better than anyone. What do you think of Abel thinking he's too green?
Well, I find it very strange for Abel to be stating that he's too green when Curtis defeated one of his fighters in the U.S. Championships to become #1 in the country. He has his opinion, and that's fine and dandy. But I know what my nephew can do. I know what he's capable of. And Abel's going to be in for a big surprise. Gennady's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. He's a strong young man, and he can punch. But he hasn't, in any of the fights that he's had, received the amount of punishment he will receive in this fight.
No.
He's going to be in there with one of the biggest punches he's ever fought in his entire career. And I went through his box rec, and I've seen some of the guys he fought. The Kasim Umars, the Gabriel Rosados, the Pussycat Matthew Macklin. He's not going to be in front of anyone of that nature. He's going to be in front of a young man that comes to fight. He's been doing this since he was 5 years old. And to state, he's coming into his boxing glory now. That's totally ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. Curtis has been around. He has 235 amateur fights. I think Gennady had maybe 300. Okay. They both have a similar number of fights. Okay, that's great too. They both stop people. That's great too. Curtis has stopped light heavyweights and super middleweight. Gennady stopped a lot of light middleweight. So, okay, we can say, this, that, and the other thing, but he's going to be in there with a true middleweight. Not a Matthew Macklin, not a feather-fisted junior middleweight, but someone that can punch with the same thunder, if not more, than he possesses. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he responds to it.
And what do you think of that, Abel? That was a lot to take in.
What's happened in the past, who they fought, really is irrelevant when it comes down to November the 2nd. On November the 2nd, Curtis is going to find out what a puncher at this level feels like. Curtis is knocked people out, but he's not really a puncher. I'm going to tell you the truth right now. He's not a puncher. He's a puncher like George Foreman was when he started his career. He's a clever more than a puncher. He's not really sharp. You get tired. His arms get heavy. And that he was an amateur champion, that he had all these fights, really that's irrelevant, because once he gets hit by Golovkin, he's going to forget it. And he will be easier, in my opinion, than Macklin was, just because Macklin came to fight. I hope Curtis comes to fight. I hope Curtis, once he gets hit once, he doesn't back down. If you can honestly
state that Macklin came to fight, then you truly are lying to yourself. Macklin did not come to fight. Macklin ran that whole fight like a little bitch. He did not come to fight. Curtis is coming to fight. And if you can honestly tell anyone that Macklin came to fight, then everyone will start to doubt the truth of your words. Because he did not come to fight. That's bull crap.
But once they get hit, the plan goes out the window, like I said. And once Curtis feels the first jab, he's going to run worse than Macklin did. So
Curtis never ran in a fight, so why would he start now? Are you smoking drugs? Really?
Come on, Andre. Andre, is you and I arguing gonna change the outcome?
No, listen, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you.
Why do you say that? What do you say? Why does he say that? I mean, our insulting or saying about drugs is not going to change the outcome. So let's talk about the fight and not get into stupid things like that. That's crazy, man.
Well, don't talk like you're smoking drugs, and I won't say it. How about that?
Well, you know what? Your nephew is going to get knocked out. Your nephew's going to get knocked out.
He's going to get knocked out because he's never tasted what he's about to taste from those little feather-fisted
Yes.
So I'm glad. I hope you gear him up to set him out and let him come loose. And if you think that Curtis is going to be waiting for his moment to strike, then you're sadly mistaken. He's coming, and he's coming ready, and I'm so happy that we're going to meet it because Abel, once again, you will be looking at the face of defeat, and I hope you have a response for it. I really hope you do.
You know what? If he happens, to shock the world, let me finish.
Go ahead,
let me finish. If he happens to shock the world, which he would, I'll be the first one to pat him in the back. But I'm going to be the first one to go try to help him up while he's laying on his back when they're counting him out. I promise you that.
Very truly. Honestly, win, lose, or draw. And let me tell you something. We had the same conversation, Virgil Hunter, who's a very good friend of mine, way back when Curtis boxed against Andre Ward for the first time. Because that's what we do when we bring up young lions. We start them very young, and they get in there and they work with each other, and they decide, and they show what the wherewithal and the heart and desire to be a champion comes from. Virgil told me the same thing. He said, "Well, you know what? When those two fight, Andre is going to knock him out." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Let me tell you something. Win, lose, or draw, Curtis is not getting stopped." I said, "You better be careful that your kid don't get stopped." Now I'm telling you, as a full-fledged professional, he is the hardest punching middleweight out there. Your kid can punch, but it takes a lot for it to happen. You and I both know, as trainers, that if it was for them to stand in front of each other, Curtis is going to knock Gennady out. He hasn't had anyone back him up. He hasn't had anyone oppose him. He's going to be opposed. He's going to be backed up, and he's going to be struck numerous times. And when he gets hit with the magic hook, he too shall go to sleep.
Short night for Curtis.
And if you think he can't outbox him, you're even more sorely mistaken. But I understand that because I know you didn't have him from the beginning of what he did. So you came along as he was already what he was being. So you would know. I know what my nephew can do. I know what all my fighters can do. Daniel Jacobs would beat Gennady.
Daniel Jacobs is very green also. Daniel Jacobs would last 2 rounds in the ring.
I'm glad you said that because now everyone will see that you're gonna put the title of green athlete on all of my kids. You gotta be smoking drugs again, and I had to say it because you're crazy now. Daniel Jacobs green also. I mean, who else are you gonna say is green? Who else?
Name me a fighter.
Who else? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Name me a fighter. I'm telling you, there's different levels, okay? There's different levels. There's Golovkin, there's Chavez and Martinez on one. There's Quillen on the next one. And then there's the rest. And your nephew's even below that.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way because when your fighter's below him, I want you to say, "I'm sorry."
I'll be the first one. I promise. I'll be the first one.
Get ready, sir. Get ready. Believe me when I tell you. Get ready. Get yourself ready.
The unfortunate thing is that
I'm glad you believe. How long? Let me ask you something. How long have you worked with Gennady?
I don't think that's relevant.
I think it's relevant.
I think it's a fact that. No, I worked with him about 4 years. About 4 years, okay? I took him to the title.
About 4 years?
About 4 years, yes.
So, okay, so now, at that point in time, from what I've viewed, I might be wrong. I mean, I might be green too. I might as well be. I'm Kermit. Forget my name is no longer Andre. It's Kermit. All right? A.K.A. the Frog. I watched him in bouts, and quite honestly, other than the fact of him putting fantastic pressure on his opponents, I don't see a whole lot of difference from him when he fought Kasim Uma, who gave him hell, a junior middleweight, until he got stopped. So, therefore, in you saying all of these athletes that we do know are green, I think they would beg to pardon the difference. But November 2nd is going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day in New York. It's going to be a good day in New York. Because if you think that monkey business that he's always doing is going to happen again, then you know what? As a matter of fact, don't even worry. I'll make sure that I have a green machine for you after the fight is over.
Yeah, fantastic.
So you can become a little green yourself.
Yep.
Maybe that'll help.
If the fight,
Maybe that'll help.
if the fight's half as explosive as this has been, it's going to be a hell of a fight. Andre, though, Abel, quite honestly, you know, there's no hard feelings. That this is all.
Oh, of course not. This is business, man. Come on, this is business.
This is all business. I have all the undue respect for you, but the bottom line is this is wartime, and that's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. I really do.
Andre, I heard Triple G say that in all of his fights, and I think there's been how many, like about over 350, right? Abel, amateur.
350 amateurs. He's at 27 as a pro, but yeah, 350 amateurs.
Yeah, almost 400 fights. He said he's never been down and never even been hurt in a ring. Do you believe that? And does that concern you at all? I mean, Curtis is.
Do I believe that he's never been hurt?
Never been hurt in his whole life in the ring.
He was stung in the Gabe Rosado fight. He's telling a lie. I mean, he's truthful about what it is. And if he hasn't been, there's a first time for everything, and his first time will be November 2nd.
Can you, two trainers in this way? I'm sure you heard of each other, seeing each other's work throughout the years, or maybe you haven't. I'm from the East Coast, and Andre, you're from the East Coast. Abel, you're from the West Coast. Do you know anything about Andre, and what does Andre bring to the table, Abel? Do you know what effect and what effect he has on his fighters?
You know what? I really pay very little attention to what other trainers and other fighters are doing. I worry about what I have in my gym. I've had 14 world champions. I've had some of the best fighters in the world. I've worked with the best fighters in the world. I'm not concerned. I bring my guy prepared to fight the fight that he needs to fight for himself, and whatever the opponent brings, it may be kind of foolish in a lot of people's minds, but you know what? I've been very successful at it. 35 years doing this game, and I'm not going to change my methods on what people think. I've been successful, and I continue to be.
Yeah, how about you, Andre? What's Abel bring to a corner?
Well, I honestly, his record does speak for itself. He's worked with fighters who happened to come to him at the point in time when he might have made some adjustments or not, or just continued as they're going on. But he's had success, and he's not had success. So, I mean, that's the nature of boxing. I'm the same way. I've had success, and there have been fights that I didn't win, and that's just the nature of the game. But what I can tell you is that I know my fighters because my fighters have always been with me.
And it's going to be
from day one.
It's going to be fireworks in the fight. I'm glad it's in Madison Square Garden. It's a throwback type of fight, and it's fitting that it's in the Mecca. It's in Curtis's backyard, Andre. Do you worry about how that's going to affect him, whether he's going to try to to overdo it and impress the crowd and to wow his hometown people? Do you wonder how it'll play on him?
No, Curtis is not that type of fighter. Curtis is going to do what Curtis does. Curtis is going to come out. He's going to come out energetic, and there's going to be the first round of this fight, a.k.a. Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, is going to be super explosive.
Yeah.
Abel's under the impression that his fighter can't get hurt, and that's a sorry mistake. So if he thinks that Curtis can't knock his fight out, then the fight should be over now, because he's going to ask him to do something that's going to cause him to get knocked out. But I think he's a little bit smarter than that, so I'm not going to say that he's going to do that. But he tends to talk in that direction. But once again, he's a strategist, so he might be baiting the line. He has the wrong person to try to bait the line with, because I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat flesh, so I'm not going to bite the hook. But the case is that they're going to come out. It's going to be very explosive. I don't expect either of them to back up, and I'm looking forward to it. I like to see a nice, hard, drag-out, thunderous, rock'em sock'em event. So I think these two are going to put that on. And for those who believe that Gennady is Superman, there'll be a lot of disappointed people. For those who believe and know that there's going to be one hell of a fight breaking out, there's going to be a whole lot of happy people.
And Abel, I know that Andre brought it up again. The fact that Triple G seems like he has supreme confidence and isn't easy to hurt, hasn't been hurt. Can you attest to that? I know that there's been a lot of big-time sparring partners. You have Peter Quillen come in, and he sparred a lot with Triple G. Canelo sparred with him. Have you ever seen him hurt at all, and how do those sparring sessions go? He spars the best.
No, anybody can be hurt. I don't give a shit who you are. You get hit with a good punch from a flyweight on the right spot, and you're a middleweight, you're going to get hurt.
Now the man is a scientist. He's going back to the real deal. I love it.
But the point is, though, is that you have to have skills. And in 350 amateur fights and 27 professional fights, nobody's ever been able to hurt him. It's not that he can't be hurt. It's just that he has skills. But as far as the defense that everybody keeps harping about, Golovkin, if you look at BoxRec, I'm sorry, not BoxRec, PunchStat on HBO, whatever that statisticians that do the punches on HBO. Mm-hmm. Golovkin, if you look at their stats, Golovkin is number 3 behind Canelo and Mayweather, and 22% being hit by the opponent, and 50% of his landing. So a lot of times people look at fights and have the misconception that he has that defense. Look at the stats. Ward is at 28% defense. In other words, they hit him 28%. So I'm not worried about what other people say and what other people think. I know that come November the 2nd, that explosive fight, I hope it happens. And if it does, we're all going to be treated to a great first round if it goes that long. But if it goes longer, we're going to be treated to a great fight. If Curtis hangs in there, then he is the fighter that Andre believes he is. If he doesn't, well, then he's the fighter that I thought he was. But either way, the fight being in New York, I know there's going to be tons of people there for Curtis, and it's going to be loud, and there's going to be a lot of people for Golovkin. It's going to be loud, and HBO is going to have a great fight on their hands. I'm not worried about the end result, because I know what's going to happen. I'm worried that it gets to happen.
And Andre, what's Curtis going to do to prepare different for this fight than he has for the past few fights? This is a really important fight. It's a fight that he's been wanting for a long time. He's been calling out Triple G, and he's finally getting that chance. How's he going to prepare different for this opportunity?
Basically, we're just going to be doing most of the same stuff. We're just going to be doing it a little bit more. I'm glad that Abel mentioned stats. In Curtis's last 4 fights, his punch and land ratio has been 56%. So So regardless if it was one round or not, which 3 of them were, he has been deadly accurate while doing it. So as for his Hail Mary capability, or which Abel had mentioned before, I would hate to be on the end of that Hail Mary because it seems to be very accurate when he's hailing it. So, I mean, the numbers are there. Both of the kids, they've been very, very astute and accurate in their attacks. So I leave that not to the conjecture of this conversation. They both are sharpshooters at that point, and they both can punch. I happen to honestly believe, and I know Abel believes it also, that Curtis is the bigger puncher. He has clearly clean one-punch knockout power, which I haven't seen so much in Gennady. He breaks you down, which is good. I mean, he's accurate and he's doing that. So, but it hasn't been that. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen knockouts like the ones that Curtis has been putting together at 160 in a minute. They border on brutal, and he's just gonna pick it up because he likes to punch. He likes to punch. He likes to let his hands go, and that's what's gonna happen. So I hope Gennady is ready to let his hands go and not throw 1 and 2 and think it's gonna be the end of the song. Because if he does, once again, he's in for a really big and rude awakening.
Yeah, and Abel, you do have to analyze a fighter's strengths, and you have to train for the fighter you're fighting. So when you're training for Curtis, who is a big puncher, who does have one-punch power, do you do anything different, or do you just do the same routine with Gennady because it hasn't failed so far?
I don't, like I said before, there's nothing that he can change. There's nothing Andre can change in 8 weeks to make him any better, that he can work harder, just like I can't change nothing in 8 weeks to make Gennady any better or 100% or even a lot better than what he is now. All we can do is prepare him the best we can do and do what we do and just do it better. But I honestly don't think, I'm going to tell you, I honestly don't think that Curtis can punch harder than Golovkin. And I'll tell you why. Golovkin has fought the better opposition, regardless whether you want to say they were junior middleweights, as Andre had said. But he's fought guys that weren't coming off of knockouts, that weren't getting knocked out. He's fought guys like, or let's just say Macklin the last time. He gave Martinez all he can handle, beat Sturm. Those are the top middleweights in the world. And then we have Curtis Sane fighting Brinkley and who's the last kid he fought? Finley, and having a hard time with him. So we just have to. I think we have to go by the quality of opposition. But again, November the 2nd, no matter what we say, November the 2nd, we're going to find out who the biggest puncher is, and I think it's Golovkin. And Wu-Tang found out that it was Golovkin. Durrell got beat by Golovkin. So a lot of the main fighters before Golovkin got to the point where he is now were beat by Golovkin. So I'm not concerned one bit.
He didn't stop Andre Durrell.
He did not. He beat Andre. He beat Andre.
Yeah, he beat him. He didn't stop. Let's talk about the guys he stopped. Let's be real about it. Let's talk about the guys he stopped. All right, we're going to talk about the guys he stopped. He didn't stop Gabriel Rosado. He caused a profuse cut over his head, and the corner stopped because he kept fighting and he wanted to keep fighting. Curtis knocked Elvin Ayala out, who happened to be a 3-time middleweight world challenger. He knocked him out in the first round. Saul Roman, I don't put a lot into that because, you know what, he moved up and he was supposed to be a tough guy, but every time he gets in with someone that was kind of tough, he had a hard time. I knew he was going to get knocked out in the first round because he couldn't take what was going to be coming at him. Finley, he needed that fight because he needed some rounds. But Finley actually has never been knocked out either. So there's not much to say. The kid was tough, and he took some good shots, and And he kept on coming, and he held when he had to, and he pushed and he shoved when he had to, and the whole 9 yards. So the bottom line, as you say, is he won. So, but now these two are going to come and meet each other. There's not going to be any backing up and sidestepping and waiting. They're going to meet each other in the middle of the ring. And when they meet each other, that's when the explosions will start. And I don't know exactly how big a puncher Gennady is, but I know Gennady has never fought a fighter who can punch like Curtis can. That I can guarantee. And you know that, Abel, so just make sure that he's ready for that. That's it.
He's going to be ready. He's going to be really, you're going to find out that Curtis really can't punch.
That's it.
At this level.
Can't punch. Curtis can punch at any level. He's knocked out light heavyweights. He's knocked out super middleweights. He can punch at any level. And you know that. So, regardless of what you might say about, he can punch. And he will punch. And he'll be prepared to continue to punch.
I hope it goes longer than 3 or 4 rounds, just because I think that we're going to be treated. We're going to be treated to a great fight, and you and I are going to have to do our work in the corners, and I think that becomes the fun. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know if it's for you. That becomes the fun of the fight for me, because then I have to make sure that I communicate with my fighter, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get that chance. I think that it's going to be a quick night for Curtis, and he's going to find out what punches are at this level. And I'm not talking about level as far as 160, 168, or 75. I'm talking about a championship level.
Punching is punching. Let me tell you something. You want to talk about championship level? I had a kid in the gym. I'll give you a story, because I don't even know why you're saying that, Abel. Sometimes you start to really get me going, and I'm like, Abel's all right. Then you go with the monkey business. But anyway, I had a fighter in the gym. His name was Brian Mungo. He was a 4-time Golden Glove champion here in New York. Hellacious puncher. I mean, he wasn't the greatest technician, but I don't care who it was in the ring with him, he would knock you out. So I don't care if he was in there with Marvin Hagler, he would have gave Hagler hell at the championship level. So forget about the championship level. Forget about the technical. We're talking about 2 men meeting and going for it. So you're going to find out. Since you've seen and that's the part that scares me. Since you believe that it won't happen, keep saying that to your fighter. Keep telling him, it's a championship level, not at this level. When he tastes dynamite for the first time and he doesn't know how to respond to it, talk to him clearly. Abel, talk to him so clearly, so you can guide him out of trouble. Because it's going to keep coming.
I'm glad you think so. Because hopefully Curtis will come.
Mm-hmm. And one guarantee is, I don't think it's going to go 12 rounds. What you said it was going to be a quick knockout, Abel. What's your final prediction? What round do you think it'll come to an end?
I think really it all depends on Curtis. It all depends on Curtis and how he's affected by the first couple of shots he gets hit with. If he decides to actually fight and come forward and do what Andre is saying that he's going to do, and not hold and fight like he fought Finley in the last 3 or 4 rounds, then it's going to be, I'd say, no more than 5 rounds. If he holds and if he mugs and if he makes it an ugly fight for the crowd, then it could be a couple more. But I don't think it goes past 7 rounds.
How about you, Andre? What's your final prediction? What are we going to see November 2nd?
Honestly, I love the ground that he's taken, the stance. I honestly believe that since Gennady has never had to entertain an athlete with the capabilities that Curtis has, that the rude awakening will be on his part. He's not going to understand the speed, because if he believes that he's faster than Curtis, he's really, really behind the 8 ball. And he's going to see things that he hasn't had to see, because everyone has sort of been backing up from him. And we're going to push forward. Curtis is coming to fight. Curtis is coming to bang him up. So I hope that he's prepared for it, because I have yet to see anybody who really came to fight without trying to, once again, mug and hold and close up the gap, be successful. So I'm telling you, if he comes to fight, he's going to get knocked out. If he decides to box, then these two might put on a show. And then he'll see exactly how a 5'7", a little beast of a guy, can double up jabs on him, stick hard body shots into his solar plexus, dig around his sides, and hit him with short, crisp hooks. How does he deal with it?
I'll tell you, when the fight became official, I thought of Zal Graziano. That's what came to mind. I think it's going to be a fight like that. It's going to be good. I know it got a little heated between you guys, a little bit, but you guys love your guys, and I know that you believe wholeheartedly in them. So once we hang up, it's just respect. I know that you guys have a mutual respect for each other. Two great fighters. It's going to be a great fight on November 2nd, live from Madison Square Garden, live on HBO. Can't wait to see it. Thank you. Two great trainers, Abel Sanchez and Andre Roger. Appreciate your time, guys.
Thanks,
Andre, good night.
Good night, Abel. God bless you, and I'll see you at the press conference, and may the kids get it on.
Absolutely. I'll see you in New York.
Can't wait.
Buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Take care, Chris.